Your story began long before your first breath, and it is still unfolding in this very moment, not as an accident, not as a random sequence of events, but as an expression of a vast ancient intelligence that remembers everything your soul has ever lived, loved, feared, or dreamed. There is a realm, if realm is even the right word, that holds every thought, every intention, every karmic impression of every being that has ever existed, a field so quiet that most never notice it, so subtle that most never feel it. Yet it is always close, just beyond the edge of ordinary awareness. You've brushed against it before, in the depth of meditation, in the eerie precision of déjà vu, in dreams that feel more authentic than the day you wake into. The ancients called this substance Akasha. Mystics recognized it without needing a name. Today many refer to it as the Akashic Records. This is not a trend or a fragile belief. It is the underlying blueprint of your reality. And once you begin to sense it, the way you see yourself can never fully return to what it was. There's a reason you sometimes feel like you stepped into your life mid-chapter, as if pages before and after have been torn from the book. That feeling isn't delusion, it is intuition. Somewhere deep inside, you already know your soul has moved through far more than this one lifetime. You know there is a record of those journeys, and you know it didn't vanish the moment you were born into this body. That living record has a name carried quietly across centuries and civilizations: the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records are not a dusty book on a shelf. They're not carved in stone or hidden in some locked chamber underground. They exist in a dimension outside time and space, a non-physical field of consciousness acting like a spiritual data stream. Imagine a vibrational archive that holds not only what you did, but what you felt, what you wanted, what you resisted, every choice you made, every lesson you were meant to learn, every lifetime your soul has visited. And this extends beyond you. Every soul, every path, every experience is woven into it. This is not an exclusive system for the chosen. This is the landscape of consciousness itself. The word Akashic comes from the Sanskrit Akasha, meaning ether, sky, or spirit. In ancient Indian cosmology, Akasha is the fifth element, beyond earth, water, fire, and air, the subtle energetic fabric from which all forms arise. For the seers of old, Akasha was not metaphor. It was the invisible thread connecting all of existence, the medium through which divine intelligence moves, and the records are what that medium remembers. You find echoes of this idea everywhere. The Hebrews spoke of the Book of Life. The Egyptians envisioned a hall of records. Islam speaks of the preserved tablet, holding all that has ever been and all that will be. In more recent Western esoteric traditions, teachers like Helena Blavatsky and Rudolf Steiner described a spiritual memory field that transcends the physical senses. They were not inventing a fantasy. They were pointing back to something the soul already knows. If you've ever wondered why some people seem to arrive with an old kind of wisdom, or why you carry fears that don't match your experiences, why certain abilities feel strangely familiar, why some emotions feel older than this life, you're not imagining things. You're feeling ripples from the records. You are more than your current circumstances. You are a multi-layered being of experience and memory, and those layers are not chaos. They form patterns, a larger curriculum your soul agreed to explore. Until you become conscious of those patterns, they keep repeating, lifetime after lifetime. Different faces, similar lessons. This is when the records stop being an interesting concept and become something else. A key, a map, a compass pointing you back to who you truly are. Within them lie answers, not only about who you were, but about who you are in the process of becoming. Insights wait there, asking to be heard. Lessons wait there, asking to be integrated. And one of the deepest truths is this: Your purpose is not something you manufacture. It is something you remember. Most people are never told this. They are told the records are off limits. In reality, they're simply out of awareness. Many never attempt to access them, not because they are unworthy or incapable, but because no one ever suggested it was possible. We were conditioned to believe that knowledge lives only in books, that authority rests in institutions, that answers must be imported from outside. The records tell a different story. They whisper that the highest wisdom isn't acquired, it is recalled. You don't have to be a guru, psychic, or priest to touch this information. You simply have to become quiet enough to hear the echo of what has always been inside you. The Akashic field does not privilege titles, status, or spiritual image. It responds to intention, sincerity, and readiness. So the real question is not, can you access the records? The real question is, what shifts when you do? Long before anyone coined the phrase Akashic Records, there were humans who knew this realm through direct experience. Visionaries, mystics, seers, and sages moved beyond ordinary perception and returned with messages inscribed not in ink but in light. They didn't call it a record because what they touched wasn't language. It was pure, vibrational truth. Across continents and cultures, they spoke of a mysterious place, if it can even be called a place, where the stories of the soul are stored. A sanctuary guarded not by walls, but by frequency. Those who reached it didn't read with the eyes. They recognized it with the whole body. They felt it in their bones. The Vedic rishis of India described Akasha as the primordial substance of reality, the origin of all thought and all form. In their understanding, nothing is ever truly lost. It simply returns to Akasha, like a wave relaxing back into the ocean. Tibetan mystics called this vast stream of awareness the mind stream, a continuum of consciousness that flows beyond any single lifetime. The Druids, Egyptians, Gnostics, Mayans, and many others had their own symbols and myths pointing at this same domain. Different stories, different languages, the same recognition. There is an unseen field that remembers everything. So how did this knowledge fade from common awareness? It wasn't erased overnight. It was slowly undermined, questioned, ridiculed, and pushed to the margins. Institutions built on outer control could not easily coexist with a teaching that said authority lives inside the soul. If the records are real, then who you are isn't defined by passport, religion, or even genetics. And if your soul has memory, then no external system holds ultimate power over your identity. That is a destabilizing idea for structures anchored in control. During colonization, many indigenous cultures who carried oral teachings of soul memory were suppressed. Ceremonies that opened intuitive channels to Akasha were banned, mocked, or replaced. Ancient libraries were burned. Pagan and earth-based practices were demonized. Spiritual histories were rewritten. All of it served the same purpose: to separate human beings from direct access to their own remembering. Even now, in an age of technology and information, the idea of the Akashic Records is often dismissed as fantasy or pseudoscience. Yet the skeptics struggle to explain why young children accurately recall past lives, why strangers share identical dreams, or why sacred texts from entirely different civilizations describe the same kinds of soul memories. The issue is not a lack of evidence. The issue is that this reality does not fit the approved story. A society built on consumption and obedience becomes unstable. When people begin asking, "Who was I before this role?" What if the narrative I was given is only a fragment? So a different story was offered instead. A story where you are your name, your job, your gender, your nationality. where your past begins with a birth certificate and ends with a death certificate. Anything outside that narrow timeline is labeled superstition, fantasy, or delusion. Yet underneath that surface script, another story has always been waiting. The older story, the deeper story, the one encoded in your unexplainable dreams. The one whispered in moments when the noise of the world finally quiets and your own inner knowing becomes audible again. This isn't about disproving religion or collecting spiritual trivia. It is about remembrance. It is about reclaiming a truth that was obscured not only by violence, but by distraction, ridicule, and forgetfulness. The Akashic Records are not a modern invention. They are ancient beyond measure. What is new is the number of souls remembering them again, and perhaps that is why you are here now. Not necessarily to learn something entirely new, but to recognize something timeless. Something your ancestors once honored before it was taken from their ceremonies and stories. Something your own soul has been nudging you toward in quiet ways for years. Because once you understand that history is written not only in books, but in energy, frequency, and in you, you begin to reclaim the authorship of the story only you can live. You don't need a special membership to access the Akashic Records. No institution can grant or revoke your entry. They were never designed to be owned or locked away. They were meant to be experienced, remembered, and lived through you. This is what makes them unlike any other source of knowledge. They do not respond primarily to intellect, but to vibration. You don't read them with your physical eyes. You match them. You tune your awareness to their frequency. Like adjusting a radio, there comes a moment when the static clears and the signal comes through. Human beings have been doing this for thousands of years, often without naming it. It happens in deep meditation, in altered states, in dreams that carry the weight of other lifetimes or forgotten chapters, in those suspended instants of grief, joy, or stillness when the world seems to pause and something larger slips through. The doorway is always the same: presence. You cannot force your way into this field. You soften into it. You relax into a level of honesty and stillness where your energy begins to resonate with truth itself. Mystics often describe the records as a vibrational field because what they contain is not ordinary information. It is not organized as sentences, paragraphs, and bullet points. It is direct knowing, resonance. Some people perceive the records as a luminous library or temple, vast halls filled with scrolls of light. Others encounter them as colors, patterns, sounds, or impressions that cannot be easily translated into words but land with absolute emotional clarity. That is the essence. The records bypass the rational mind and speak straight to the soul. Contemporary spiritual practitioners have shaped many methods for entering this space consciously. Some use specific prayers or invocations. Some use guided meditations, breathwork journeys, or automatic writing to let the subconscious translate what the conscious mind cannot yet grasp. Others arrive there through plant medicine, lucid dreaming, or out-of-body exploration. No single doorway is right for everyone. The technique matters far less than the state of the heart and mind moving through it. Intention is the true key. If you approach the records for proof, control, or entertainment, the field tends to remain quiet. But if you arrive with humility, true curiosity, and a willingness to be transformed, the response can be profound. It is not always comfortable. The records are not a mirror built for your ego. They reflect back your repeating loops, the wounds you've carried through lifetimes, the places you've abandoned yourself, yet they also reveal your strength, your gifts, the power you set aside and are now ready to reclaim. They illuminate areas that have confused you for years, and they repeat a single message in countless forms. You are so much more than you were ever taught to believe. Many people brush against this field without realizing it. That flash of insight that prevents a bad choice. The sense of, I've been here before. the certainty about a person or path you've only just encountered. These are not random glitches, they are glimpses through the veil, your own soul trying to be heard in a culture that keeps you distracted. Accessing the Akashic Records is not about floating away from the world, it is about showing up more fully in it. It is not spiritual escape, it is spiritual clarity. When you remember who you have been and what you came to learn, everyday life begins to rearrange itself. You no longer move as someone powerless and lost. You walk as someone who knows they are part of a much wider story. And once you have stood even briefly inside that wider story, nothing can fully convince you again that you are small, broken, or irrelevant. You did not arrive on earth empty-handed. You came carrying a blueprint, a soul-level design shaped by many incarnations, woven with intentions, choices, and consequences. The Akashic Records hold this blueprint. They don't just store a list of past events, they chart the energetic residue of those events, what some call karma, others call soul memory, but which ultimately forms the architecture of your spiritual evolution. Karma is often misunderstood. It is not a cosmic punishment system, it is the momentum of unresolved energy. Karma is the echo of past actions, seeking balance and completion. Like a musical phrase that demands resolution, it pulls you toward experiences that allow healing, learning, and integration. If you betrayed trust in another life, you may feel a profound call to protect or advocate in this one. If you silenced your truth before, you might now feel compelled to speak, even when your voice trembles. These tendencies are not accidents, they are threads woven through multiple lifetimes. Soul contracts operate in a similar way. They are not ironclad scripts, but agreements your soul makes before incarnating. Agreements to meet certain people, face specific themes, or walk through particular challenges. The difficult relationship, the demanding parent, the teacher or partner who arrives at the perfect moment. These connections may be part of that deeper plan. The records allow you to glimpse this architecture, not so you can avoid pain, but so you can understand it. When you begin to see life through this lens, your questions change. Why is this happening to me? Transforms into what is this showing me? Victimhood slowly turns into authorship. You start noticing repeating cycles, the same lessons in new forms, the same emotional triggers, the same patterns of sabotage or avoidance. Once you see the pattern clearly, you gain the power to interrupt it. Awareness fractures the loop. Conscious choice plants the seed of a new timeline. The records also reveal your strengths. We talk often about wounds from past lives, but wisdom travels too. Talents, inclinations, and spiritual abilities cross the boundaries of birth and death. That magnetic pull toward healing, teaching, art, or service may not be random at all. It may be the continuation of work your soul has been refining across many incarnations. Seeing your gifts through this lens changes your relationship to them. They stop feeling like lucky accidents and begin to feel like sacred responsibilities. Understanding your soul blueprint dissolves the urge to compare. When you grasp that every soul is on a unique curriculum, chasing someone else's timeline no longer makes sense. You begin to honor your own speed, your own seasons. You stop rushing your process. You stop blaming yourself for not being further along. You start to trust that every challenge is not simply a block, but an activation. The Akashic Records reveal the syllabus of your soul. When you glimpse that syllabus, even your hardest experiences start to look like carefully placed lessons. And here is the liberating part. The blueprint is not rigid. The past influences this moment, but it does not imprison it. Karma is not a permanent sentence. Contracts can be renegotiated. Patterns can be rewritten. Your life is not a predetermined track that you are doomed to follow. The records lay out the terrain, but you are the one choosing how you walk it. At every moment you hold the pen. You can either copy the old story or begin a new chapter. So when you ask, "What is my purpose?" you are not asking for something foreign to be delivered from outside. You are asking to remember what your soul already carries. The blueprint has always been inside you. The records are simply a mirror that helps you read it. To many, the idea of the Akashic Records sounds poetic, a comforting metaphor for unseen order. But what if it is more than metaphor? What if what sages described as a spiritual library is aligned with emerging understandings of energy fields, quantum reality, and the nature of consciousness? Mainstream science has largely ignored the Akashic concept because it doesn't fit neatly in a materialist framework. You cannot weigh the records, you cannot dissect them under a microscope, yet the same is true of your awareness. You cannot hold a thought or a dream in your hands. You cannot physically measure the feeling of love or déjà vu. Still, you know they exist. The fact that something is invisible does not make it unreal. Physics already tells us that what appears solid is mostly empty space, patterns of energy vibrating in a shared field. Many scientists now view information as a fundamental component of the universe, perhaps even more basic than matter or energy. This makes the idea of a universal information field far less far-fetched. Thinkers like Ervin Laszlo have proposed the Akashic field as a scientific model, a cosmic information field that stores and transmits the patterns of the universe. In his view, the cosmos is not chaos, it is coherent and informed, guided by deeper layers of order. The holographic principle, explored by figures like David Bohm and Carl Pribram, suggests that each part of the universe may contain the blueprint of the whole, much like every fragment of a hologram still contains the complete image. If reality is holographic, then information is everywhere. Every point in space could, in theory, hold the memory of everything. This does not prove the Akashic Records in a strict scientific sense, but it opens the door to them as a serious possibility. It challenges the story that we are separate beings in a dead, mechanical universe. Instead, it points to something intimate and alive, a conscious cosmos woven with memory and intelligence, a universe that knows itself through you. Accounts of near-death experiences also echo this. Many who temporarily leave their body report a panoramic review of life, a simultaneous awareness of their actions, and the ripples those actions created in others. They describe a space of total understanding, beyond judgment. What they speak of sounds remarkably similar to stepping inside a personal record of the soul. Intuition gives us yet another clue. The mother who senses her child is in danger miles away. The person who wakes knowing something will happen before it unfolds. The inexplicable knowing that defies logic. These phenomena hint at a shared field of information that we are already tapped into, mostly unconsciously. The Akashic Records don't demand that you adopt a new belief. They invite you to reconsider what you've always sensed, to entertain the possibility that the universe is not indifferent but deeply relational, that your experiences, thoughts, and choices are not lost to time, but woven into a living tapestry. Science may not have language for all of this yet, but it is slowly circling closer. And as the gap between scientific inquiry and spiritual insight narrows, we may discover that the truth mystics have carried for ages were never naive. They were simply ahead of the curve. From your earliest days, the world began scripting your identity for you. You were given a name, a nationality, a culture, a religion or worldview, and a checklist of what is acceptable and what is not. You were taught what is real and what is imaginary, often by people who had long since forgotten how to listen to their own souls. Somewhere in those early lessons, a quiet directive was delivered. Forget who you were before this moment. Forget the lifetimes behind your eyes. Forget the wisdom you carried here. Forget the power of your own inner voice. This amnesia was not purely an accident. It served systems that depended on your disconnection, systems that preferred obedience over self-mastery, consumption over consciousness. When you forget your deeper nature, you become easier to manage, easier to market to, easier to push into roles that have nothing to do with your soul's design. So wonder was replaced with conformity, intuition was replaced with repetition, soul work was replaced with homework. You were trained to look outward for every answer and to doubt anything that emerged from within. Those visions you had as a child were dismissed as fantasy. Those memories that didn't fit this lifetime were chalked up to imagination. That deep connection you felt to unseen realms was often shut down or spiritualized away. All the while, a flat version of reality was presented to you, one in which the sacred was either denied or packaged as entertainment. This is part of why the Akashic Records feel remote to many people. Not because they are far away, but because we were conditioned to distrust everything that hints at them. We were told that truth lives in authority, figures and institutions, that knowledge must be earned through external validation, and that wisdom counts only when it is stamped with approval. But your soul is not bound by those rules, neither are the records. The truth is, you have already touched them many times, those moments of profound clarity that arrive out of nowhere. The instant recognition when you see certain faces, the gut feeling that changes your entire trajectory, the dream that refuses to fade, the pull toward a culture, symbol, or time period you've never studied. These are fragments of the memory you were trained to suppress. Yet memory cannot be permanently erased. It waits. Underneath the noise of daily life, the soul remembers. It speaks through art, through synchronicity, through crises that break your old identity apart, through grief that opens your heart wider than you thought possible. Forgetting is strong, but remembering is stronger. And here is the uncomfortable truth. The world, as it is currently structured, was never designed to celebrate your remembering. A person who remembers they are an eternal soul is not easy to manipulate. They do not chase hollow definitions of success as eagerly. They do not cling as tightly to roles that suffocate their spirit. They see the illusion and they quietly, steadily step out of it. This is why mystics were persecuted, why shamans and seers were discredited, why ancestral wisdom was rewritten or buried. The issue was never simply disbelief. It was the threat of awakened humans. But the structures that denied this truth are beginning to crack. More and more people are stepping out of their scripted lives and admitting, this doesn't feel right, something is missing. They are turning toward questions that can't be answered by headlines or algorithms. And once the remembering begins, it is very hard to fully go back to sleep. Each fragment of truth that returns brings a little more power with it, a little more clarity, a little more courage. You are not designed to live your entire life blind to your own depth. You were meant to wake up to it. The Akashic Records were never truly hidden. You were simply encouraged to look everywhere but within. Now you are looking, and that alone changes the path ahead. Remembering is not about rewinding into the past. It is about descending into the center of yourself. The Akashic Records are not some distant vault guarded by exalted beings. They are woven into your own consciousness, living in the still spaces between your thoughts and beneath your emotions. Access is less about ritual and more about readiness, not performance but presence. You do not need elaborate scripts or secret languages, only honest questions. You do not need titles or spiritual credentials, only the willingness to sit with what arises when the noise fades. Many people hesitate here. They anticipate fireworks and visions. They want a dramatic sign, but the records usually speak much more quietly than that. They sound like your own inner voice, only older, wiser, less reactive. They come as a gentle nudge, a sudden clarity, a deep feeling that appears for a moment and slips away if you try to grasp it too tightly. You cannot bully your way into this field. You can only create a space where it naturally reveals itself. That space is built on three simple pillars: stillness, sincerity, space. You make time away from constant stimulation, away from screens, noise, and endless input. You allow silence. You allow yourself to feel. In that quiet, truths you've been carrying for lifetimes begin to surface. You might start with simple questions like, what do I need to remember about this pattern? What is the deeper root of this fear? What's my soul trying to show me through this situation? You are not interrogating the universe. You are opening a conversation. Sometimes responses come swiftly. Other times they arrive days later through dreams, songs, symbols, or chance encounters that feel too aligned to label as coincidence. This is one of the ways the records communicate, through the choreography of your life. Journaling can help you catch these threads. Writing freely, without editing, lets the conscious mind step aside so a deeper voice can speak through you. As you do this work, you may notice your dreams sharpening, synchronicities increasing, intuition becoming more obvious. These are signs that your frequency is shifting into resonance with the field of memory. Shadow work becomes a powerful ally here. Often we don't remember because we don't actually want to see certain truths. There may be guilt, regret, old pain, or aspects of self we have been taught to deny. The records bring these up not to shame you, but to liberate you. You are shown what you're ready to heal. You are invited to reclaim pieces of yourself you exiled long ago. This process can be emotional. Your body may respond as old energy moves. Tears, heaviness, relief, waves of sensation, all of these can rise. You are not falling apart, you are reorganizing. There is no singular, correct path to this work. For some, meditation is the gateway. For others, time in nature opens the channel. For many, creative expression becomes the bridge. Art, music, poetry, dance. These are languages the soul knows well. When you create from your core, you are often translating the records straight into form. You do not need a guru to certify this. You do not need a label. You need honesty with yourself, curiosity about your inner world, and trust in the intelligence behind what arises. You are not fabricating these impressions. You are recovering them. Imagination, in this context, is not the opposite of truth. It is one of its vehicles. The Akashic Records tend to live in that liminal space between what the mind dismisses and what the soul has never forgotten. Every time you allow a forgotten piece of yourself to come home, you close the distance between who you appear to be and who you truly are. In time, remembering becomes less of an event and more of a way of living. You move through the world as both student and witness, aware that every interaction, every trigger, every joy and challenge is connected to a much larger story. You become the library. You become the channel. You become a bridge between the visible and the invisible. And meaning stops being something you chase. It becomes something you naturally radiate. Imagine a world where the central question is no longer, who am I supposed to be? But, who have I always been? Imagine millions of people turning inward, not out of escapism, but out of genuine curiosity, seeking guidance in the vast archive of their own soul's journey. Such a shift doesn't just brighten individual lives, it bends the direction of humanity. When people remember, scripts lose their grip, roles lose their weight, old systems built on fear, shame, and unworthiness begin to crumble. The Akashic Records are not just a tool for personal healing, they are a template for collective evolution. This is not a solitary adventure. It is a ripple effect. One person who remembers walks differently. Their choices carry more alignment. They react less and respond more. They become creators instead of chronic consumers. Their relationships adjust. Their work begins to reflect their soul. They live with a quiet kind of freedom that others can feel, and that freedom is contagious. The records reveal that no soul is truly separate. We are linked in an intricate web of cause and effect, of offerings and lessons. Healing in one place sends waves through the whole. Breaking a generational pattern in your own life loosens it in your lineage. Choosing love where there was once fear alters the energetic field around you. You become the turning point between what was and what is possible. As more people step into this role, old systems lose power. They are not necessarily overthrown in a blaze of drama. They simply become irrelevant to those who no longer need them. When enough people stop feeding structures built on control and disconnection, those structures cannot sustain themselves. Instead of living by rules that suffocate the soul, people begin to build new patterns, families based on authenticity, communities rooted in compassion, work guided by purpose rather than profit alone. This awakening does not have to look like revolution. It feels like a collective homecoming, a deep exhale after lifetimes of holding your breath. And you can sense it happening already. People are leaving jobs, relationships, and identities that once looked successful but felt hollow. They are questioning beliefs they once repeated without thought. They are honoring nudges they used to ignore. Not because someone handed them a new doctrine, but because their own soul whispered, "There is more." That more is not a distant heaven or a future reward. It is a frequency, a way of inhabiting this life with the full awareness of who you truly are. We are not cogs in a machine. We are vast beings, carrying stories that stretch across lifetimes and worlds. We are not accidents. We are not powerless. We are not as lost as we were taught to believe. We are in the process of remembering. The Akashic Records are not an escape hatch from this reality. They are a map that helps you navigate it from a place of wholeness. A map for you, a map for us. Because as more of us remember, the world itself begins to remember what it can be. Your entire life, you were encouraged to search outside yourself for guidance, to trust experts, laws, and long-standing systems more than the quiet knowing in your own chest. You were given scripts for how to live, what to want, and what success is supposed to look like. Yet, even when you followed those scripts precisely, a subtle dissonance remained. A question kept surfacing. Is this really all there is? That question is not failure. It is a doorway. It is the part of you that stayed connected to the Akashic field, refusing to forget completely. That part knows your life is not an accident, your pain is not meaningless, and your purpose will never be fully defined by someone else's standards. The records are not distant or reserved for the few. They are woven into the architecture of your own awareness. Remembering them does not require purity, perfection, or spiritual performance. It requires presence, the willingness to stop, to feel, and to listen. To turn toward what you've been avoiding and ask, what is this really showing me? When you step into that inner space, through meditation, reflection, time in nature, prayer, or dreams, you are not going somewhere unfamiliar. You are returning to a conversation that has been waiting since before this life began. From that vantage point, your challenges rearrange themselves. The events that once felt cruel or pointless start to reveal threads of meaning. Loss becomes an initiation. Fear becomes a guide. Confusion becomes a signpost, pointing toward a deeper truth. Your life doesn't suddenly turn into a movie filled with dramatic miracles. The shift is subtler and more powerful than that. It shows up in how you speak, the choices you make, the boundaries you honor, the energy you stop tolerating. You begin moving not from habit, but from alignment. You no longer starve for validation from people who cannot see you clearly. You stop outsourcing your sense of worth. You realize your story doesn't require an external editor. It requires your full presence. You are not a human trying desperately to become spiritual. You are a spiritual being remembering how to be fully human. That memory lives inside you. It always has. You do not need to earn access to it. You simply choose to trust it slowly, consistently. Let that trust guide you. Let it bring lost pieces of you back home. Your story is still in motion. Your patterns are still changeable. Your soul is not broken. The Akashic Records are not here to dictate your future. They exist to remind you that you are the one writing it. You always have been. And every new moment is an unwritten page, waiting for the version of you who remembers to pick up the pen. Awaken, ascend, become.